That gleaming prison in South Chicago, which from the outside looked pristine and orderly, but inside housed humanity's darkest shame. Here, night didn't begin when the sun went down, but when dignity itself came to an end. Guards hiding behind badges did whatever they pleased. The imprisoned men couldn't speak out. They knew silence was their only protection in a system designed to break them. But then a storm arose to shatter those walls of darkness. His name was Alexander Hayes, a fearless FBI agent who had sworn to uproot corruption from America's justice system. With his sharp blue eyes and calm demeanor, Alexander carried both the weight of his badge and the burden of being who he was, an openly gay man in a world that still whispered behind his back. From the prestigious halls of Harvard to the gritty offices of the FBI's Chicago field office, Alexander had fought twice as hard to prove himself. The son of a traditional Boston family, his father a renowned prosecutor who didn't speak to him for 2 years after he came out, his mother caught between loyalty to her husband and love for her son, only his younger sister Emma stood unwavering beside him. At the FBI, Alexander's brilliance couldn't be denied, yet the subtle discrimination persisted. Cases reassigned without explanation, forgotten invitations to team gatherings, hushed comments that fell silent when he entered rooms. Yet he persisted, his record speaking louder than their prejudice. "You can't save everyone, Alex," David whispered one night, their fingers intertwined in the dim light of their apartment. A psychologist who had seen the worst of human trauma, David Marshall knew the toll Alexander's work took. "This prison investigation, it's too dangerous. I already lost James to hate. I can't lose you too." Alexander's hand tightened around David's. "If I don't fight for them, who will?" The next morning, Marcus Thompson, the regional FBI director, a black man who had climbed the ranks despite a system that wasn't built for him, closed his office door. "This is off books, Hayes. One wrong move, and neither of us makes it out with our careers." Alexander nodded, his resolve unshaken. Sometimes the greatest courage isn't facing the danger ahead. It's choosing to walk toward it when everyone tells you to turn back. From family dinners filled with the uncomfortable silence to bureau hallways that fell quiet at his approach, Alexander had learned that sometimes fighting for justice meant first fighting for the right to stand in the room. Now he would risk everything to expose the truth hidden behind prison walls, not because it was safe, but because it was right. If you've ever felt alone in your fight for truth, subscribe to Heart Stories, where courage speaks louder than fear, and one person's bravery can change a broken system forever. The first message arrived on Alexander's secure server at 3:17 a.m., a desperate plea from Michael Ramirez, a kitchen worker at South Chicago Correctional. His hands had trembled as he typed on a borrowed phone. "They're hurting people in here. The LGBT inmates get it worst. No one believes them. No one helps. I can't watch anymore." Alexander read the message twice, his chest tightening. Prison abuse allegations weren't new, but something in Michael's words carried the unmistakable weight of truth. 3 days later, they met in a diner 40 miles from the prison. Michael's eyes darted nervously as he slid a napkin across the table. "Names," he whispered. "Dates. Places where cameras don't reach." The story Michael unfolded made Alexander's blood run cold. Guards pulling vulnerable inmates, particularly BLM or transgender prisoners, into blind spots after midnight. Beatings disguised as security measures. Sexual assaults covered by fabricated incident reports. A systemic pattern of abuse protected by a wall of silence and fear. "The warden knows," Michael said, voice barely audible. "They all know." Alexander initiated an official inspection the following week. The prison he toured bore no resemblance to Michael's description: freshly painted walls, respectful staff, calm inmates, a perfect performance. Yet his trained eye caught the signs: inmates who wouldn't make eye contact, the subtle tension when certain guards passed, the 2 clean incident reports with identical language. Back at headquarters, Alexander poured over years of prison data. Suicide rates at South Chicago Correctional were double the national average, with self-harm incidents suspiciously concentrated among certain demographics. The pattern was clear to anyone willing to see it. "I need to go inside." Alexander told Marcus during a secure meeting, not as FBI as an inmate. Marcus's face hardened. You realize what you're asking as a gay man in that environment, and that's precisely why it has to be me. That night, David found Alexander staring at their bedroom ceiling. You've already decided, haven't you? David's voice cracked. Remember James, my ex, 3 years ago, walking home from a bar? 4 men with baseball bats who thought being gay was reason enough to kill him. Alexander turned, gathering David into his arms. This is why I have to go. Because there are people trapped inside those walls facing that same hate every day, with no way out. The plan took shape over 2 weeks. Alexander would enter as Jason Miller, a financial fraudster with a 5-year sentence. Microscopic recording devices embedded in a watch and glasses. A direct emergency line to Marcus through a modified dental implant. His FBI status known only to Marcus and 2 trusted agents. The night before his undercover assignment began, Alexander stood before the bathroom mirror, scissors in hand. David watched silently as Alexander's dark hair fell in clumps around the sink. The close-cropped prison cut transformed him harder, more vulnerable. Promise you'll come back to me, David whispered, pressing his forehead against Alexander's. Always, Alexander replied, though both men knew some promises lay beyond their power to keep. As dawn broke, Alexander kissed a sleeping David goodbye, memorizing the peaceful lines of his face. Walking toward the unmarked FBI vehicle, he thought of all the people, inmates, families, even decent guards trapped in a system where power without accountability created monsters in the dark. Sometimes breaking chains meant first placing them around yourself. The processing room at South Chicago Correctional smelled of industrial disinfectant and human fear. Alexander, now officially inmate number 47291. Jason Miller stood motionless as the intake officer roughly patted him down. His Harvard education, FBI training, and family name meant nothing here. He was just another body to be processed, cataloged, and stored away. Financial fraud, huh? The officer sneered, scanning his paperwork. You white-collar types think you're too good for this place. Trust me, pretty boy. You'll learn fast. The reality of prison life hit immediately: the dehumanizing strip search, the ill-fitting uniform, the casual cruelty from guards who viewed inmates as less than human. Alexander was assigned to D Block, notorious for housing nonviolent offenders alongside those awaiting transfer to higher security facilities, a perfect storm of vulnerability and predation. His cellmate, a wiry man named Brian Johnson, eyed him warily. Word of advice, Brian muttered after the guards left. Keep your head down. Don't make eye contact with the COs in C-Wing. Especially Rivers and Donovan, they're the worst. Over the next 3 days, Alexander carefully mapped the prison's power structure. The official hierarchy was merely a facade. The real authority lay with Warden Jackson Miller, an imposing figure with political connections and a Harvard MBA who managed the prison like a private fiefdom. Beneath him, certain guards operated with impunity, particularly during night shifts when supervision was minimal. The evidence accumulated quickly. In the showers, Alexander noted bruises and identical patterns on multiple inmates. In the yard, he observed the subtle signals between guards before vulnerable prisoners were isolated. At meals, he recorded the whispered warnings among inmates which guards to avoid, which corners of the prison held the greatest danger. Most disturbing was what Alexander discovered during his kitchen duty alongside Brian. Behind the industrial refrigerators, hidden from security cameras, packages changed hands, drugs flowing into the prison through a sophisticated network that could only operate with administrative protection. The warden calls it chemical management, Brian explained in hushed tones. Keep the population medicated, easier to control. Guards sell it, inmates distribute it, money flows back up. Anyone who talks disappears to solitary or worse. On his 5th night, Alexander witnessed his first direct abuse. A young inmate named Carter, barely 20 and openly gay, was cornered by 2 guards in a service corridor. Alexander's recording devices captured everything: the slurs, the threats, the casual violence justified as discipline, He intervened just enough to prevent the worst, earning himself a place on the guards' watch list. The next morning, two younger officers, Tyler Williams and Connor Davis, approached him in the laundry room. "Warden wants to see you, Miller," Tyler announced, his expression unreadable. "Says you've been asking too many questions." The walk to the administrative wing felt endless. Alexander calculated his options, acutely aware that his cover might already be compromised. The prison's camera blind spots, carefully documented in his memory, became ominously apparent as the officers diverted from the main hallway into a maintenance corridor. "In here," Connor directed, opening an unmarked door to a small storage room. The door closed with a definitive click. "I don't understand," Alexander began, maintaining his cover. "The warden's office is—" Tyler's expression hardened. "Cut the act. We know you're watching. Question is, who are you really watching for?" Alexander recognized the pivotal moment. These officers weren't taking him to the warden. They were acting independently, which meant either threat or opportunity. His training told him to maintain his cover at all costs, but his instinct told him something different about these two men. "What if," Alexander said carefully, "I'm someone who could actually do something about what happens in here?" The tension in the small room was palpable as both officers exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between them. In that moment, Alexander realized the most dangerous part of his mission wasn't the corrupt guards or the warden. It was deciding whom to trust in a place built on secrets and fear. "FBI," Alexander whispered, revealing the microscopic recording devices hidden in his watch. "My real name is Alexander Hayes, Special Agent, Chicago Field Office." Tyler and Connor froze, shock evident on their faces. The small storage room suddenly felt airless as Alexander made the most dangerous gamble of his career, trusting two prison guards with his true identity. "Why tell us?" Connor finally asked, his voice strained. "We could walk straight to the warden." "Because I've been watching you both," Alexander replied steadily. "You're new to the system, 3 months on the job. You haven't become part of it yet." The truth poured out like a dam breaking. Tyler, a former Army medic with PTSD, who took the job for stable income, had witnessed brutality that reminded him too much of war zones. Connor had a younger brother who came out as gay in high school and faced relentless bullying. Both men had joined corrections believing in rehabilitation, only to find themselves eggs in a machine of systematic abuse. "We wanted to report it," Tyler admitted. "But who would believe us against the warden? He's connected politicians, judges. We'd lose everything and nothing would change." Alexander laid out his proposition, helped gather evidence against the corruption, testify when the time came, and receive full immunity. It was a lifeline in a drowning system, and both men grasped it. Their alliance formed a fragile triangle of trust in an ocean of suspicion. Tyler and Connor became Alexander's eyes in restricted areas, documenting the drug network that connected the prison to powerful external interests. The evidence mounted financial records showing unexplained deposits in certain guards' accounts, video of inmates being terrorized in camera blind spots, audio of Warden Miller instructing staff to manage problems internally. But secrets rarely stay buried in prison. Officer Rivers, a veteran guard with a sadistic reputation, had been watching Alexander with growing suspicion. 10 days into the operation, Rivers cornered Tyler in the staff locker room. "Your new friend Miller," Rivers sneered. "Something's off about him. Way he observes everything. Way he carries himself. Been running his prints through some channels. Turns out our fraudster shows up in some interesting databases." That night, Alexander found a note under his meal tray. "Rivers knows. Warden meeting tomorrow." With his cover crumbling, Alexander activated the emergency extraction protocol through his dental implant. But extraction required 12 hours minimum, and Warden Miller had scheduled their meeting for dawn. When the cell doors opened for morning count, Alexander prepared for the worst. Instead, chaos erupted. A fight in C Block escalated into a full riot. Inmates overwhelmed several guards. Fire alarms blared, and the facility went into lockdown. "This way," Connor appeared suddenly, grabbing Alexander's arm. "Not much time." They navigated through service corridors as the riot spread, the prison's careful order dissolving into mayhem. Connor explained breathlessly, Tyler started the diversion. Rivers told everyone you're a Fed. Some inmates want to kill you for being a snitch. Others, the ones you helped, are fighting to protect you. They reached the administrative wing to find Tyler waiting with a flash drive. Everything's here, financial records, videos, the whole operation. Rivers is looking for you with a team of guards. They're not planning to bring you in alive. Suddenly, the corridor filled with smoke as the sprinkler system engaged. Through the haze, a figure appeared, Warden Miller, his perfectly tailored suit incongruous amidst the chaos. A service weapon steady in his hand. Agent Hayes. Miller's voice was unnervingly calm. I've known about you for days. Did you really think I wouldn't have sources inside the FBI? Alexander stepped forward, placing himself between Miller and the two guards. It's over. Warden, the evidence is already being transmitted externally. Even if you eliminate me, you can't stop what's coming. Miller's laugh echoed in the wet corridor. Evidence I have judges in my pocket. Politicians on speed dial. I've been running this operation for 7 years. No one cares about prisoners. Hayes. No one cares about what happens to men society has already thrown away. Alexander held Miller's gaze. You're wrong. These officers care. And after today, America will care too. The standoff stretched like a wire, ready to snap, a corrupt system personified in one man facing the fragile alliance determined to expose it. In that moment, surrounded by chaos and uncertainty, Alexander understood that sometimes justice doesn't arrive with sirens and badges. Sometimes it begins with a single voice refusing to remain silent in the dark. The extraction team burst through the service entrance precisely 17 minutes after Alexander's confrontation with Warden Miller. FBI tactical units secured the prison while medical personnel treated injured inmates and staff. In the command center established outside the prison gates, Alexander, still in his inmate uniform, handed Marcus the flash drive containing every piece of evidence they had gathered. How bad is it? Marcus asked, his expression grim. Worse than we imagined. Alexander replied, the corruption extends beyond these walls, judges, politicians, even 2 prosecutors. The prison was just the center of the web. Within 48 hours, the Justice Department launched the largest correctional system investigation in decades. 37 arrests included Warden Miller, 14 guards, and 3 local officials. News cameras captured Miller being led away in handcuffs, his tailored suit replaced by the same orange jumpsuit he had used to dehumanize others. Yet victory came with complications. Miller's political connections fought back. His defense team claimed entrapment, illegal surveillance, procedural violations. They painted Alexander as a rogue agent with a personal agenda due to his sexuality. The case threatened to collapse under legal maneuvering and public indifference. The turning point came unexpectedly. Brian Johnson and 17 other inmates came forward with sworn testimony, breaking the code of silence that had protected the abuse for years. Their courage, more than any evidence, swayed public opinion. During congressional hearings on prison reform, Alexander testified for 6 hours, his calm recounting of systematic abuse, silencing even the most skeptical committee members. This isn't about politics, Alexander concluded. This is about whether we truly believe in justice for all Americans, even those behind bars. 3 months later, the Hayes Prison Reform Act passed with bipartisan support, establishing independent oversight committees and protection mechanisms for vulnerable inmates. Alexander declined numerous promotions to establish the Freedom Within Foundation, providing legal and psychological support for abused inmates, with particular focus on LGBTQ prisoners. Tyler and Connor received immunity as promised and became the foundation's first employees, training correctional officers nationwide on recognizing and preventing abuse. David joined the effort too, developing trauma recovery programs for former inmates. On a crisp autumn morning, Alexander returned to Boston for the first time in years. At his sister Emma's insistence, he agreed to meet their father at the family home. The reunion was awkward, years of silence creating a chasm between them. I saw you on television, his father finally said, voice rough with emotion. The congressional hearing. Alexander nodded, expecting criticism. You reminded me of myself when I first became a prosecutor. His father continued, surprising him, before I forgot what justice really meant. At the Foundation's first anniversary gala, Alexander stood at the podium, David beside him, surveying the unlikely coalition their work had built former inmates, correctional officers, politicians from both parties, families touched by incarceration. The easiest thing to do with broken systems is to look away, Alexander told the audience. But healing begins when we have the courage to see each other's humanity, even through prison bars. As applause filled the room, Alexander caught Tyler and Connor exchanging proud glances. He thought about the prison in South Chicago, now under new management with oversight committees and transparent reporting. One case hadn't fixed America's broken prison system, but it had cracked open a door long sealed shut. Have you ever stood up for what's right when everyone told you to look away? How might our world change if we refuse to accept injustice? Even for those society has forgotten, share your thoughts in the comments below. If you believe in the power of courage to transform broken systems, subscribe to Heart Stories, where every week we bring you true accounts of ordinary heroes creating extraordinary change.